cool on the internet last night. That's Russell Wilson, the new Steelers quarterback.
Oh, you're telling me.
He put a workout together in his backyard, one that we have seen in the past that was very similar. This one, different because he's got a Steelers logo on his shorts instead. Looks incredibly fit, looks to be in shape. There was a couple years back where people said Russell Wilson was a little bit fatter and out of shape than he would used to be in Seattle during the great years. Feels like he's all the way back, excited for the opportunity with the Steelers. And what you just heard was Yinzers go 6 to midnight. Now, Tone, you watched this workout and said what to yourself?
I watched this workout. I actually watched it side by side. Someone on the internet put it side by side next to a former Steelers quarterback workout. And the amount of zip that this man has on his ball compared to past quarterbacks that the Steelers have had, excluding 7. So anyone from 7 until Russ. The amount of zip that he has, the accuracy, the way he moves in the pocket.
What about the moxie with the glasses?
The moxie is unbelievable. The stride, the drive. It's, boy, oh boy, am I a confident human being going into next year.
As you should be, and I'll be excited to see how long that lasts. Justin Fields is backing up Russell Wilson. I think, we watched Caleb Williams do something similar yesterday.
Yeah, not like this, but
well, that's what I'm saying. This one had a lot more pizzazz. I mean, Russell Wilson had a lot more pizzazz. The camera angles are obviously in there to showcase the glistening biceps in which Russell Wilson looks incredibly jocked. This might be a revenge body season for Russell Wilson there, con man.
Yeah, I saw the QB, like the 5th best QB coach, Quincy Apple, say that he actually changed his mechanics, Russell Wilson. So we might be seeing a whole different Russell
Quincy
Wilson.
Avery is his name, and he has certainly attacked this particular program in the past. That is why I know his name and why you probably refuse to know his name. But he is a quarterback coach, and he said, damn, Russell Wilson is seemingly a little bit more rotational, might help with some accuracy. Some of the flaws of the last couple of years might have been fixed in some offseason workouts. Might be getting the best Russell Wilson that they've seen in some time.
Yeah, the only thing I love 99.9% of this video. The only thing I didn't love was that he was doing it in perfect conditions. Let's get up to Siberia. Okay?
Ooh.
Let's get up in the wind.
You like the song choice?
I didn't hear the song. I listened to no music.
It was a good song.
It was Red Rum, Red Rum, Red Rum at one point was being said.
It wasn't Donnie Iris?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Could have Wiz Khalifa's got a lot. Mac Miller.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of Pittsburgh. He could have extra sauce Pittsburgh this thing up. Chose not to, which is a very new Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
In the past, Russell Wilson would have put a Mac Miller, Wiz Khalifa, Donnie Iris mixed together for that video. And then now he's, what's that, Brett?
Brett Michaels on a guitar
Yeah,
somewhere.
they might have put him in there screaming like this.
Yep.
Instead, they go with somebody not. So maybe this is a new Mr. Unlimited as well, not doing too much.
It absolutely is. I mean, it comes down, it's the Pittsburgh fade. It's kind of very similar to how when Tua got his tribal tat, it was like, this is a different guy. This is not the same Tua that we've been looking at.
Right.
Russ gets that haircut. I don't want to deal with that guy on Sundays.
I don't either.
He looks mean, and he looks ready to go.
Lean.
And once again, he's only getting paid $1.2 million from the Pittsburgh Steelers, $38 million from the Denver Broncos.
Jeez.
I'd be pretty happy bopping around life as well if I was getting $39 million next year with the expectations of a quarterback that's only making $1 million. Real babyface turn for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I heard from a source inside the Broncos organization that they had to have a couple more cleaning crews come in last night because Sean Payton saw that and shit his pants all over the facility.
Oh, really?
I believe that.
I thought maybe people were splooging all over the place, the people that made the decision to make him the highest paid quarterback.
Opposite, throwing up and shitting themselves, both ends.
Oh, an ayahuasca retreat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Euphoric, some would say.
Not everybody, though, because some people prepare for the diet and they don't puke and poop.
Right.
Yeah.
We've learned a lot about ayahuasca trips.
I didn't really get jerseys. I want one.
Yeah, game day.
Yeah.
Wore for 3 ceremonies.
Yep.
Can we just order those, or how's it work?
I got to earn those, I think.
Is there a website?
One of the biggest controversies that baseball has seen in a long time just broke yesterday. Today, he's still hitting balls off the wall.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about being locked in. And something that is involving this much of a failure, if you're off this much, he has somehow been able to keep $4.5 million potentially being stolen from him or lent from him to his interpreter, who is a terrible gambler. Absolutely terrible gambler.
Bad.
If the story shapes out to be whatever it is. Just whatever. He's still bombing balls. He is still incredible at baseball. That's his sanctuary. But this is a big deal. And a lot of people are mentioning Pete Rose. Don't know if it's similar, right? I don't know if it's same.
I don't get that that vibe just from everything. And again, this news basically came, I mean, yesterday people were talking about it, and then the story actually came out today, so it's still very fresh. I don't think all the information has been presented yet. But no, it doesn't feel like Shohei was betting on baseball explicitly, so I don't think it's a Pete Rose situation, but it is it is very interesting how basically every story that's been presented so far has either been refuted or like mixed around, or right after the story came out, I was like, well, that's actually not what happened. The complete opposite thing happened. So there's just like a bunch of different narratives going around right now. There's half the people who are immediately on the internet were like, okay, so Shohei was gambling, his interpreter is the fall guy. Obviously that's the case. And then other people are, you mentioned his confidant, his friend, he needs this guy to be able to function in the United States as his interpreter. He was just being a good pal, paying off a debt of his. But I don't know. I mean, the investigation obviously I think is very serious, but the MLB has basically already said, like, hey, as of right now, like, Shohei's in the clear. Like, there's not going to be some massive, at least as of right now, there's not going to be some massive suspension. He's not, a lot of people were putting out the piece in his contract where it was like, hey, if his interpreter was to be let go or something like that, like, he can opt out at the end of the year. Like, people assuming that he's potentially not going to be a Dodger anymore because of this. Like, I think all of that's bullshit, but I think there is just so much conjecture and other stuff going around with this that we really don't know the full scope of what's going on. So hopefully Jet has a little more information.
Yeah, and Ippei Mitsuhara, who is the interpreter,
Nailed it.
He allegedly addressed the entire team after the game yesterday,
Right.
and kind of spoke up about it.
Yeah.
Did Shohei have no idea the story was coming out? Did Ippei, was he the only one that knew the story was coming out? Because then there's videos of Shohei
Exactly.
and the interpreter in the dugout yesterday morning as we watched on 6 a.m. start here on the East Coast for the Korean game. They're laughing pals.
Yeah, chumming it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
What'd you take today?
It's great to be here. Yeah, so they're showing this video, and then afterwards, Ippei allegedly addressed the entire team, and then the story comes out, and then all of a sudden, no, this guy stole $4.5 million from Shohei. None of it really makes sense how it all pans out. Now, $4.5 million is a lot of money. That's grand theft.
Yeah.
That is obviously a huge amount of cash. But for Shohei Ohtani, $4.5 million could potentially go missing from a bank account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
It's not like Shohei. If Shohei's not like plugged in every day, checking his balances, checking his numbers, $4.5 million, and I assume they've already done the math, what it is for somebody who makes $65,000 a year, $75,000 a year. There's a chance that he did not know until very recently about all this.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, so I'm excited. Jet better give us answers. The Jet better give us some damn answers, because I got a lot of them. And if they don't have any answers, boy, this story is only going to continue to cook and cook and cook, because we don't know anything about anything, seemingly.
Yeah, I mean, you would assume that he didn't find, because if everything that we've been presented so far is true, like, it would be really weird that they were just yucking it up when this guy allegedly stole $4.5 million from you. And again, I understand that he just signed a $700 million contract, so $4.5 million maybe isn't like the end-all be-all to him, but I think that's still obviously a massive breach of trust. But on the Dodgers side, like, I think that's why I think they kind of feel like they were just like, like this blasted them out of nowhere, because initially I assumed like, oh, okay, well, this has been going on for a while. They say since like 2019, since they got to the U.S., these bets had been placed. So I assumed that like the Dodgers maybe knew of this in some way, shape, or form, but that doesn't seem to be the case either, because their manager Dave Roberts has basically said like, hey, I'm not commenting on this at all. Like I don't, I have nothing to say. I'm going to let the investigation play out. But it is just, it's really interesting how Ippei basically came and said like, hey, he paid off my debts for me and we're all good. And then apparently someone got in his ear or something happened, and he basically said like, that's actually not the way it played out. He had no idea. He wasn't the one who actually wired the money himself, which is what he initially said. Like, it's really weird, and it's going to get fishy.
What?
I don't think anything will happen to Ohtani.
I don't think so either.
No,
I don't think unless there's like some big smoking gun
Are
somewhere.
we marks, though, that we're just like,
I don't think so.
because like, you talk to reporters, like we talked to Jet, and he was complimenting Tish and everything like that. And if you hear them talk, it's like, we're just telling you what was told to us by people in the know
At the time.
And it's not just the people involved, it's also like feds. Like, this is the information we're getting from it. We still have a lot of questions because we're nowhere near done doing it, but they're also nowhere near done with the investigation. So I think they kind of get a little bit upset about all the natural reactions and narratives that get built. Like last night, Shohei.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Shohei lost $4.5 million in bets on baseball.
Yeah.
Is pretty much what the internet took that as immediately, and they're going to let jokes fly. But like, it does feel as if the reporters are like, that is not the actual. From what we have been told, that is not the actual story. Not baseball, first of all, and from all parties that have talked to us, including feds, it was this particular individual who's the interpreter who was with Shohei. Shohei victim here is what everybody is kind of saying, even the interpreter who said this is me and that he was just covering for a friend. But it is crazy to think that it could change once again on a dime, potentially in the middle of an investigation.
Yeah, I think if you just think about it like reasonably, I think baseball more so than any other sport, like guys, especially like guys like him who will be first ballot Hall of Famers, like they just know because of Pete Rose, like you don't do this, okay? Because you will get caught. And if you do get caught, like Pete Rose has the most hits in the history of baseball, and he's not in the Hall of Fame, and people treat him like he's just some piece of shit because he bet on baseball 50 years ago. Exactly. And he was betting on him to win. He wasn't, throwing games or anything like that. But I think you look at it like that, and also everything we know about Shohei in terms of like all he cares about is baseball. All he wants to do is compete. That's why he went to the Dodgers, because he was kind of just wasting away in Anaheim. And then also on top of it, like, I understand that he has only been living in the U.S. for like 5 years, but you'd think that if he was getting involved in something like this, like someone would stop it before it got to the point where it's like, hey, Shohei, you're one of the most popular people in the world. We can't have you racking up $5 million in gambling debts with this illegal bookmaker in like, guess what? Eventually the Piper is going to have, like, the Pied Piper is going to show up and people will find out about this. I just have a hard time believing that you would be that short-sighted and just thinking like, oh, no one's ever going to find out.
Yeah, and Shohei Ohtani, from everything we've learned, good dude, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just
As far as we know, yeah.
Seems to be awesome.
Like, legit only cares about baseball.
And since he's in high school, they know he's going to be a guy.
For sure.
So that would be very out of character from what we know.
Absolutely.
And very dumb.
Yeah.
As a person who has been since high school basically said, this is the next one. So this would be and you got to think about the humans involved whenever you hear things like this so you don't make assumptions. But everything we've been told from the baseball community about Shohei is this would not be a misstep that he would be willing to take.
No.
Now, that being said, this interpreter putting him in this position.
Yeah.
Even more a predator.
Yeah.
Guy he just loved the Portland Timbers.
Yeah.
Was he betting on MLS soccer?
I'm assuming.
I think it was international soccer.
World Cup, I imagine.
$4.5 million?